It is January 20th, 2023 in Barcelona. A man who has won everything walks into a police station. He isn't in handcuffs. He isn't being dragged. He walks with the rhythm of a man who believes he is untouchable. He is Dani Alves, the most decorated player in the history of the beautiful game with 43 major trophies. A legend at FC Barcelona, a hero in Brazil. He thinks this is a 20-minute meeting to clear up a rumor, but the police aren't looking for an autograph. They have CCTV footage, they have biological evidence, and they have a testimony that hasn't changed a single word. When Dani Alves tries to leave, the officers block the exit. The good crazy is told he is under arrest. No bail, no departure. In just 15 minutes, the king of football lost his crown, his freedom, and his legacy. To understand why this fall shook the world, you have to understand where he started. Dani Alves didn't just play football. He escaped poverty through it. He grew up in Juazeiro. His father was a farmer. Dani spent his mornings in the fields and his nights sleeping on a cement bed. He used to say that if he could survive the heat of Bahia, he could survive anything. He was the engine of the greatest Barcelona team in history. He was the man who provided the assists for Lionel Messi. He was loud. He was eccentric. He was the good crazy. But there is a danger in being a god in a city like Barcelona. For 20 years, Dani Alves lived in a world where the word no didn't exist. VIP sections, private jets, and a constant circle of yes men. This sense of celebrity immunity followed him into the Sutton Nightclub on the night of December 30th. It was a confidence that would eventually become his undoing. The night began in the VIP suite of Sutton, one of the most exclusive clubs in Europe. Alves was there with a friend. Across the room was a 23-year-old woman and her friends. At 3:20 a.m., the atmosphere changed. CCTV shows Alves heading toward a small door. It wasn't an exit. It wasn't a lounge. It was a tiny, 4-square-meter private bathroom. He enters. Moments later, the young woman follows. For the next 15 minutes, the world outside continued to party, but inside that black box, an incident occurred that would be debated in courts for over a year. Alves would later claim everything was consensual, but the forensic evidence and the victims' immediate reaction told a different story. Watch the footage carefully. Alves walks straight to the bar. He doesn't look back. He orders a drink. He acts as if nothing happened, but the young woman, she is seen on camera in a state of total collapse. She doesn't go to the bar. She goes to the security guards. This is the moment the celebrity shield failed. The nightclub staff didn't care who he was. They activated the no-column protocol, a specific citywide initiative designed to protect people from harassment in nightlife. The police were called. The biological evidence was preserved. The trap was set. Alves left Spain shortly after, heading back to his club in Mexico. He thought he was safe, but the Barcelona police were playing the long game. They didn't want to alert him. They wanted him to come back to Spanish soil voluntarily. When he finally returned for a personal matter, he walked into that police station, and this is where his defense began to crumble. Alves didn't have one story. He had several. First, he said, "I don't know that woman. I've never seen her." Then, after being shown the CCTV, "Okay, I saw her, but nothing happened." Finally, after the DNA evidence was presented, it was consensual. The judge noticed the contradictions. The victim's story, however, never wavered. Not once. Because of his wealth and his Brazilian passport, the court ruled he was a flight risk. For the first time in his life, Dani Alves was told no. He was sent to prison to await trial. February 2024. The eyes of the world are on Barcelona. The trial was a cultural earthquake. It was the first major test of Spain's new only yes is yes law. This law shifted the burden of proof. It wasn't enough to say the victim didn't fight back. The defense had to prove she gave explicit consent. The most powerful moment of the trial wasn't a piece of evidence. It was a choice. The victim refused any financial compensation. She didn't want his millions. She wanted a conviction. Alves cried on the stand. He blamed the alcohol. He claimed he was impaired. But the court's decision was clinical: 4 years and 6 months in prison. The sentence was shorter than many expected, but the impact was massive. The court ruled that the victim's lack of consent was proven by the forensic evidence and the immediate psychological trauma she displayed. The legend was officially a convicted offender. Alves was eventually released on a €1 million bail while he appeals the sentence. He is free for now, but he is a man without a country. His statues have been defaced. His former clubs have removed his images from their museums. The legacy of Dani Alves is no longer about the 43 trophies. It is now a cautionary tale about the intersection of power, celebrity, and consent. His fall changed how football clubs handle allegations. It changed how nightclubs protect their patrons. It proved that in the modern world, a VIP wristband isn't a shield against the law. Dani Alves spent his life trying to be the greatest to ever play the game. But in 15 minutes in a small room in Barcelona, he ensured that he would be remembered for something else entirely. The question remains, in a world that worships icons, are we finally ready to hold them accountable? Or was this just a rare moment where the system actually worked? Subscribe for more deep dives into the shadows of history.